Welcome to the Nutrigenomic Nation podcast with Brian Highfield, certified nutritionist, author, speaker, and founder of multiple successful companies in the health world. Brian is known for educating healthcare professionals and others on improving their health and their life through breakthroughs in nutrition, technology, and biochemistry. On the podcast, Brian interviews thought leaders in the world of nutrition and natural health. He and his guests share the secrets of a whole life natural approach to health and the life-altering results you can get by making easy changes to your diet and daily routine.
Today we're visiting Dr. Frank Musante at Del Sol Chiropractic in Sarasota, Florida. All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm sitting here with Dr. Frank Musante of Del Sol Chiropractic here in Sarasota. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get to know you a little bit first. So tell us a little bit about your background and what drove you into the chiropractic field.
So starting out, my dad owned his own business, so it kind of gave me a little entrepreneurial spirit. My mom was a nurse and went on to running multiple pediatric practices, and that was pretty cool and got me interested in healthcare. But what it really was that made the difference is I was an athlete my whole life, and in an instant that got taken away from me with a knee injury. And I went to great physical therapists that got me back on the athletic field. So that was pretty cool, and I really liked it. And I decided to go to college for my undergrad as an athletic trainer. And I started doing that, and then somewhere in the course of the undergrad, I ended up with a degree in exercise physiology, went on to get a master's in cardiopulmonary physiology. And I thought I was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. But God has other plans.
Yeah.
And I was riding a bike in Boston, car blew a red light, and I went from running 6 miles a day and having a photographic memory to losing that. And it came back when I found chiropractic. So the words that get a lot of people to a chiropractor for the first time is, I think I know someone that can help you.
Yeah.
And I was working at the Red Cross, and the director just said, I'm sorry to hear what happened to you, but I know someone that can help you. And by the time I had my third adjustment, I was hooked and enrolled in chiropractic school because my headaches went away for the first time for like 4 days, and I was having massive migraines. It was crazy. So never being really exposed to chiropractic growing up, it was kind of a little bit miraculous just going from an athlete to a broken person with headaches to instantaneously in a thousandth of a second being clear and being able to function normally. So that's what got me into chiropractic. It's what kept me really excited about it, because not only am I, a chiropractor, but I was a patient that it changed my life, because my life was heading in a bad direction, and now I'm at the top of my game.
And I hear that so often. A lot of chiropractors, they have a similar experience where they had some physical challenge or something happened, and then similar to your story, where just they visited someone, they didn't know much about chiropractic, but it changed their life. And it sounds like the same thing happened to you. Yeah,
it happens to a lot of people that we know, and I'm always marveled that there's people that start chiropractic school that has never been adjusted.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that? But it does, and for me, it made all the difference in the world, because I was an athlete, and anyone that grew up an athlete, you love that functioning and the exercise and the moving around, the camaraderie. And when it just ends, you're kind of like, oh, what do I do now? And literally, one adjustment changed my life, because I said, by about the third one, I was enrolled in school. Because of my background, school was kind of easy for me, so I hung out with a lot of the greats from the profession, teaching. I actually traveled around with a couple of them around the country, so I learned how to be a great adjuster early, and I learned how to adjust all the different joints in your body for sports, and then got a specialty in upper cervical care and taking care of people with concussions, so getting back into that athletic realm. And that's made all the difference, because I can get people well from a lot of things that they didn't think they can get well from. And knowing what I know, it's it's really not me, the chiropractor, doing it. It's your body healing itself when we just release that power that's been stuck.
Yeah, yeah. So what are different types of services do you offer here at Del Sol?
Well, the first thing we do is give people a nice, thorough exam to figure out what's wrong with them and what's going on, because otherwise you're just kind of banging on bones. So one of the chiropractic greats said, find it, fix it, and leave it alone. And that's sort of one of our philosophies, is finding what's wrong with you, correcting it, and then assessing whether you need any more adjustments. And if you do, coming up with a plan and what we're doing, but looking at the upper cervicals, because that's what creates the most amount of functioning in the body. So the brain stem is sending out 3 million messages, controlling and coordinating everything, including the autonomic nervous system, which is what controls our heart rate, our breathing, our liver detoxification, all that kind of stuff. And there's tons of research showing how chiropractic can make a lot of improvements in that. And anyone that's experienced it, I mean, it's like eye-opening. So there's a ton of research on athletes improving their performance, improving balance, proprioception, and that's someone's awareness in time and space. And that stuff is all really cool that we get to work on that. And athletes can feel it instantaneously. The more higher class the athlete, the better they feel it, because they're so in touch with their body and how it reacts. That we know there's research that shows we can improve reaction time, we can improve hand-eye coordination. And athletes love that, but the biggest thing is that we're improving their injury prevention and faster recovery times. That's why athletes want to come in, but we're all athletes in the game of life. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool when you take someone that's owned a tennis club for 20 years and he's had, tennis elbow for 20 years. I've done everything, you can't get rid of it. Yeah. All right, well, let's try. And it goes away in 2 weeks, and they're like, I thought I was going to live with that my entire life. Yeah. So we get to see that in all kinds of different musculoskeletal injuries, but we could take people that are just completely stressed out and get them to relax and get to a better place. And that's what I really like to work on, is just getting people into a much better, healthier place. This forward head posture that people are walking around with, we know that it increases morbidity, increases mortality. We know that it causes a 30% decrease in vital lung function. And we know that if we adjust people, studies show that 83% of them increase that lung capacity and their athletic performance. So if you're not breathing right, you may not be an athlete anymore, but we can help you breathe better. So it's not just athletes. We keep talking about athletes, but we're all, like I said, we're all athletes in that game of life. And we're getting older, and my parents are all still active. Their friends are mostly all still active. So as a population, we're getting older, and if you want to stay active, you got to make sure your body's healing properly. Mm-hmm. So like one of the things we just learned going through all the COVID is, what are you doing to keep yourself healthy? Yeah. So healthy people didn't get that sick. Yeah. They stayed away from, not that they avoided viruses and they avoided everything else, but their immune system, their own body stayed healthy to be able to fight everything off. So chiropractic can help you do that by allowing your body to heal. People don't realize, and I talk about it in one of the pictures up front all the time, is that your immune system is what stitches you up when you go to the gym and gets those muscles you're tearing down back together. Yes, it fights off viruses and bacteria, but your immune system is what puts everything back together. So if you stress it out, then you start to get sick. I mean, all you have to do is look at the healthiest people around are college, high school age kids, right? Their immune system is flying, and what do? They study too hard at the ends for finals. Then when they're done taking all these tests, then they go out for late nights. Sometimes that involves alcohol, and what do? Right after that, they're all sick. Because they've taken the best immune system that we have at that age, and they've crashed it. So that same thing, that your immune system is what fights off your stressors, which is the chemical stress you put your body under, it's the physical stress that you put your body under, and then the mental, spiritual, emotional. So when we say stress, a lot of people just think pulling their hair out and being stuck in traffic and screaming. But that's one form of stress. And I'm amazed at how many people that come in where they need to get adjusted a lot, and they're like, I'm not under stress. I'm like, you're under a lot of stress. And not only adjusting them, we'll give them some breathing techniques and stuff, and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. And they didn't even realize what stress they were under, whether it was worrying about their kids or something that was coming up, and not the stuff that we normally consider stress. And sometimes it's physical.
Yeah. What are some of the problems that people come in with? It's not just all back pain. What other things do they come in with?
So my office is 100% referral, and then there's people come in from our Google reviews or seeing the sign. But people come in for all kinds of reasons. So I get people that come in for your typical chiropractic neck and back pain. I get a lot of referrals for people that are coming in for just different kinds of stress that they're having, people that come in with concussions. But we could take care of people with foot pain, knee pain, elbow pain, like the whole gambit of that. But when they're referred in, they're generally coming in because they just want to be healthier, they want to live a better life, and they've watched their friends excel. Because when we adjust somebody, the purpose of a chiropractic adjustment is to restore the normal flow from the brain to the body, and your nervous system is attached to every cell, tissue, and muscle, organ in your body. And when it gets the right flow, the right information, it starts healing. It starts doing what it's supposed to do, when it's supposed to do it. So that's why we said we improve balance, we improve function. But the real thing is when you deliver a specific scientific chiropractic adjustment, you get to restore function. And what that is you get to reconnect man the physical to man the spiritual, so they can once again become a whole human being. And that's why people come in, because that's really empowering life. And what that means is that the person is more awake. They're just better at everything. So my son plays hockey, so we take a lot of hockey players, some of the coaches, and then they'll come up with these really cool things. Like they came in because they had back pain, and then you're watching this ex-athlete 5 weeks later or something. My wife's saying I walk better, and he's like, I could smell better. I don't tell people all the things that chiropractic can do, because the list of some of the things is mind-blowing. There is a research that just came out that shows that our brain has the capacity to rewire itself and heal previously thought untreatable conditions. So, and we have research that shows that like your back pain is really brain function that's going on, because they're connected. If you've got back pain that's constantly screaming out, it's bombarding your brain back with afferent and efferent signals, so your back pain is a brain problem. We have research that shows that when we adjust you regularly, we decrease the normal aging process of the brain. So if you want better brain function, and that's what we all want, because our brain is what's controlling and coordinating everything, then you should try chiropractic. So B.J. Palmer, who is really the developer of chiropractic, Didi, his father, founded it. One of his sayings that I really love is, it talks about medicine looks at trying to change your internal chemistry to fit whatever disease state you're in. Mm-hmm. And what chiropractic does is the opposite. It fortifies your internal chemistry to fit the outside world. So we want to just improve your overall function and your healing and your health. So that's what we do with chiropractic care. And that's my philosophy is, I know every time I adjust you that you're going to get better, that it has to do with healing takes time and repetition. And when we can get you clear and what the difference between, a chiropractor that specializes in getting you well and one that's just adjusting the same adjustments all the time, is that we have a system to check where and when you need to be adjusted.
Now we're in Sarasota, so typical demographic, aging community. So folks that may be older and looking to get more life out of their years, what type of treatments are they seeking, and what can you do for them?
So there's a lot that we can do, and with every person, from newborn babies to people taking their last breath dying in hospitals, we change the adjustment means of how you're delivering it. Depends on the person. Mm-hmm. And that's in all demographics. There's a lot of people that really want to get their bones to move, and there's other people that don't really like that, so you're giving them a more softer, gentler adjustment, or using an activator to deliver the adjustment. But the purpose of the adjustment is always the same. It's to remove that interference in the nervous system so that the brain and the body communicates, and then the person can get well. But older people that are coming into my practice, for the most part, are similar to the younger people coming in. So for the most part, the people in Sarasota that are aging here are very active. They're playing golf, mm-hmm. they're playing pickleball, they're mm-hmm. playing tennis, and they want to be able to continue that. And you get one of them start getting well, and then they start referring all their friends because they want to know what you're doing. You know, what are you doing differently? Because, you're walking faster, you're walking more upright, and they get referred into my office or dragged in and watch by their friends, because you want to live healthier. You want to bring your friends because you want your friends to live longer with you.
Right, exactly. You want your friends to be around, so you have someone to beat in pickleball, later on, right?
And the other thing that we do is, if someone needs a lot of physical therapy, I work with people that are down the street. We send them. Yeah. Someone wants acupuncture, I send them to an acupuncturist. So I don't do that. My specialty that makes chiropractors unique is the adjustment. So that ability to remove the nerve interference, we are the only specialty that can do that, and that's what I specialize in. I used to do a whole lot more other stuff, mm-hmm. but the efficacy of, using some of the equipment of heat and e-stim and ultrasound, and it's only effective in the first so many hours of the injury to days. And you've got other professions that do that. Athletic trainers, physical therapists, massage therapists can do a lot of that stuff. It takes a lot of time, so I send that out and let people that can do that, because that's not where my time is best suited for. My time and my expertise are best figuring out what is wrong with you, what's causing your dysfunction, and removing that dysfunction. And I know when you need, rehabilitative exercises. I'll tell you need it. This is where you need to go. I mean, there's people that are highly functional, and you could show them just do this, and they'll go do it. So they don't necessarily need to go to somewhere else. But I'm not going to spend hours doing that, where you're going to go spend, 40 minutes or 50 minutes at a physical therapist 3 times a week if you're at a low capacity. So I let the people that are experts in that do that, even though I'm trained in it and I'm good at it. The volume of people coming in I'll be able to help more people, which is my goal, is to help as many people as I can, because if you know the difference between living clear and living subluxated, and that's mm-hmm. the words chiropractor use, sub is less, lux is life flowing through your body, ation's a state of being, like starvation's a state of starving. So when people are subluxated, there's a disconnection between brain and body, and we can correct that. Like I said, nobody else gets to be able to do that, and it's instantaneous. And especially when you're working the upper cervicals, and people are just like, oh my God, like everything changes. It's like turning on the lights. Yeah. A great example of that is, you can Google Jim McMahon, who was the quarterback for the 1985 Bears in Chicago. Bears, the Super Bowl Shuffle, a lot of people remember him. I've been a huge fan of him forever. I read his biography when I was in high school. and looking at where he's at now, post concussions, lots of problems. He had that earlier than playing in the NFL because he had that rebel attitude because he couldn't stand the lights flashing at him when they were interviewing him. And that goes right back to when he played at Brigham Young. So he brought that into the NFL. So he already had the starting of CTE. He had post-concussion stuff. And he was able to still have a fabulous NFL career, but that led to him being very debilitated. If you look at the 30 for 30 on him from ESPN, he's talking about hundreds of doctors looking at his brain. And for the first time, some chiropractors looked at his neck. And when they adjusted it, he talks about the fluid that was been on his brain, like a toilet bowl flushing, go away. And when I adjust people, we hear those things all the time. The same type of response, especially when I'm dealing with athletes that have been concussed. And that's really cool because as an athlete, I wish I knew me. I wish I knew me when I was a young athlete going through. I wouldn't have as many aches and pains. So I hang out with some chiropractors all over the country that, or it's a generational thing, and I get to watch some of the chiropractors that their grandparents were chiropractors and their dads were chiropractors, and these guys lived some pretty crazy, rough lives doing like, extreme sports, and they're still doing it because they didn't get those nagging injuries that build up and create arthritic conditions because they got adjusted all the time. As soon as they didn't feel right, they got checked and adjusted. And when you do that, you don't get as many sustained injuries.
Yeah. What's something you've learned over your experience and just all your practice, everything you've learned by studying other chiropractors, like you said in the beginning? Which is something you've learned that you just wish more people knew?
Well, what more chiropractors need to know is the power that's actually in their hands to deliver an adjustment and to watch that. And I've learned lots of different techniques and ways to do it. And that's like the big thing. So I'm friends with some of the people with some of the biggest practices in the world. And, they were hardcore about, you got to adjust this way, this way, this way, this way. And they're like, you know what? We had a great big practice, but we turned a lot of people away because they didn't like that style. And they shifted and learned different styles to be able to adjust people. So I've learned that. The other thing is that people come into our office and they stay here because they get well. But everyone that comes in the door, we love them in because I prayed for God to send me everyone that I could help today every morning. And I believe everyone that comes in here for a purpose. I know chiropractic can help every single person, whether that's from me or I send you out to someone else. Because this is an environment that maybe you don't like. I think most people do, but I know chiropractic is still going to help you, so maybe you need to go to see someone else. It's always interesting that people say, I tried chiropractic once. I'm like, well, I tried plenty of bad restaurants. I still go out to restaurants. So, and that's like one thing. We just love everyone, and they people are like family. Like I talked about, a kid that I took care of at, as an 8-10-year-old hockey player, and he's bringing I just adjusted his third, child. His newborn, and so that's fun. Is just create a fun, safe environment. We have kids running around here. We have zebra tables.
I noticed a small zebra table over there, so I can tell you have a nice place for kids to get adjusted.
We have specialized pillows for adjusting pregnant people. And they always want to take it home. Like, can I buy this from you? I can lay face down comfortably. So adjusting your techniques, and then just, like I said, just loving on everyone that comes in the door. We treat everyone like family, and that's that's like the secret sauce. You treat everyone the way you want to be treated, the way I wish people would treat my parents and my children. So
It's a good way to do business, and it's got to make you feel good just helping people, and when they walk out of here just in a better state than when they came in the door.
It's really cool, especially when you have to remove your own preconceived notions. So one of my mentors was saying he stopped trying to come up with, his own mindset of how long it was going to take for a condition to get better. Because I move the bone and God does the healing. That's really between you and him. If you don't like rule number 1, rule number 2 says see rule number 1.
Yeah.
Like healings, nobody does healing except for your own body. The power that made you is what's going to heal you. Chiropractors remove that interference, and you step back a little bit on that side. I know I have to be in the right state of mind to find what's wrong and deliver the right adjustment. And to do those kind of things, but I've seen people come in where like, oh my God, this guy is a train wreck. He's overweight, borderline morbidly obese. Like, wow, this, smoker, all these like check marks against him. That is, because we learn all the things that makes healing take longer. He's got diabetes.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is going to be like 3 months, 4 months. And 3 weeks into care, he's like doing awesome, and you're like, you don't need to come in at this frequency anymore. We could slow it down. Your body's healing amazing, and that's like the biggest thing is getting your mind to a place where you're aware of what the potential of the body has, and not to limit that.
Yeah. So you obviously work on kids. We talked about older people. So do you see a lot of families, and do you have special plans and stuff for them?
We do. So we have family plans that make it more affordable for the whole family to come in and get adjusted. The family that gets adjusted together stays together and stays healthy together and stays active. And that's really like one of my passions, is making sure that kids can get adjusted and their parents can get adjusted, and just stay as a good, healthy family unit, because nothing is worse than when one person is injured and lagging behind, whether it's the dad or one of the children, or the mom. I mean, you take an injured mom and the whole family falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So each one of those are great. And what I've found over the last 20 years is really that a lot of times the mom comes in and she may bring her children in if there's something wrong. But so a lot of times the dad is like stubborn, oh, I'm not coming in. And what I find to be absolutely amazing is every time, as soon as you start getting the dad adjusted, that family's not leaving.
Yeah.
Because men like to feel strong and powerful and feel like we're 18 again. And chiropractic, after a couple of weeks, starts making you feel 10 years younger, because you start sleeping better, you start moving better, you start recovering better. And like I said, the dads then become the hardcore, we're going to the chiropractor today.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not missing, because I wake up with back pain and I'm tired and I get cranky when I don't get adjusted. So moms do it for stress, and they do it so their kids are not sick or better. But as soon as the dads start getting adjusted, they are all in.
Yeah, that's the key. And you've been doing this a long time, right? I mean, 20 plus years?
Yep.
Yeah, so I can tell that the experience is just coming through, and everything you said so far, I can tell you're passionate about your practice and just helping people, and so that they walk out the door in a much better state than when they walked in. So
I like to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to live clear and connected from first breath to last breath. And what that means is you're clear in your connection in your nervous system, from your brain to your body. You're functioning the best you can be. Because one of my good friends always likes to talk to me. He goes, we have a lot of these here in Sarasota with 2-lane roads.
Yeah.
This guy's driving 50 miles an hour and you're driving 50 miles an hour. The only thing separating you is that little yellow line.
Yeah.
And I want if everyone is clear and connected, everyone's driving nice. But this guy could be on all sorts of pain meds, and all it does is take them to drift over that line. And now you've got an accident like I had, which I thought was the worst day of my life, where my athleticism was ripped away. And like I said, God had different plans and sent me on this course. And I've had so many people, when I tell them that story, they're like, well, you know why you did it?
Right.
Because I've helped so many people, in the last 20 years. And it's really cool when it becomes generational.
Yeah.
You start taking care of the kids, the parents, the grandparents, and then now you take care of the younger ones. So there's a lot of people. We get 4 generations in our practice.
That's great. Awesome. All good stuff. We're about out of time, but really appreciate you, Dr. Frank, and sharing everything that you can do here at Del Sol and helping people. And I can just tell the passion is coming through in everything that you said, and your purpose is here. So that's great.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome.